Welcome everyone to theCUBE's NYSE studio. Of course, we have our Palo Alto studio, connecting Silicon Valley and Wall Street. This is the NYSE Wired program, a CUBE original. Of course, the NYSE Wired community, Brian Bauman and the team, growing community of experts. This is a new series we're starting, the Practitioner Series. Kind of grew out of our AI factory. We're starting to see this year, 2026, is the year of execution risk and reward. And you're starting to see practitioners who have lined up, have done the work, to do the due diligence, get the strategy, understand how things work, but put it into practice. And at the end of the day, is it in production? Is it in production at scale? Is the data secure? Got a great guest, the CUBE alumni back, Anand Pradhan here, head of the AI Center of Excellence and the Mortgage Data Group at the International Continental Exchange, ICE, the parent company of the NYSE. Anand, great to see you again. Thanks for coming in.
Great to having me here, John, and congratulations how you have grown the Wired with Brian. We started at a small cube, so great to see
you saw us from the beginning. You were the first person I met here at the NYSE, of course from the parent company ICE, which owns the NYSE. And that's relatively new. This is not your grandfather's NYSE, but ICE is a very innovative company. Yeah. They have their fingers in so many pies. They got a diverse data business, which you're involved in at technical level, just seeing all the innovation. Obviously AI, you've been on the AI factories before. It was called AI factories when we first met. But I think you are the perfect practitioner to kick off this series because you meet with so many people. You do the work. Yep. To dig in, figure out how things work, but also the idea on commercialization. Yep. And you have a high bar. So I got to ask you, do you agree with my statement that this is not the year of strategy risk, but more execution risk? Or are we still in strategy formulation, execution, toes in the water? What do you see in this generative AI and now shift to agentic infrastructure and AI native apps?
I mean, I think it's a combination of both. There are some places where the strategy is not there and it's all over the place, but there are places like ours, we had a set strategy, how we will approach AI. Agentic AI definitely is an enhancement to the previous layer. It makes some of the usage easier, but you still have to understand what goes in that agentic layer. You still have to make sure that you have all the evaluations that is needed to make the agent right for the job, right? And I mean, beyond the hype, like I keep saying, you still have to understand how many tokens are going into the LLM, how many tokens are coming out of it, how do you arrange the tokens, how do you make it economical for the use case, because it's not only about revenue, you still have to make it economical,
Yeah, and bulletproof. Yeah. I mean today, actually, ironically today, Inflection went public here at the NYSE. They're doing quantum work, they're shipping sensors into space. They got the sensor business, which does all that data gathering, also the commute business. So quantum could be a very big impactful, changing the context windows on the edge. You're seeing a lot more kind of discussion around, okay, cloud native has moved into cloud computing, on-prem and edge. We all kind of talk about that for many, many years. But we are now seeing that hybrid distributed computing paradigm really blossoming. NVIDIA's GTC is coming up, Mobile World Congress, MWC is happening in a couple weeks. We're going to start to see the discussion move from hybrid, pure cloud, on-prem to distributed computing, distributed nodes in the network. Yeah. That foundation is cloud native, hybrid, distributed computing, but it's the foundation, so agents are going to sit on top of it. So it's not like Magic Wand is going to rip that out and run on some cloud. Yeah. Agents will have to play in the stack. Yeah. What's your practitioner view on this?
I mean, the way I see it, agents are nothing but another layer in the software stack, right? And I mean, if you look at MCP server, which made agents mainstream, basically it's a standardized protocol to interact with the agents or build the agents. But the data layers are same. Behind the scene, you have APIs, you have databases, you have file systems and things like that. And then you put MCP server, you build an agent. And those are, the good thing is that it's software stack, and then each of these agents are interacting with LLMs and they're getting some output. And that is either making a decision or routing the traffic to another agent, And now we have agent teams, sub-agent, and all the orchestration that is needed. So it fun times, in my opinion. People who know how to implement it will excel at the end of the day. We will see many implementation of the agents as well as some hype, but we will implement agents where it's needed, where it adds value, or it reduces cost, time to market, data quality improvement, things like that.
I know you guys, in talking to you, people might not know it, but ICE, International Continental Exchange, again, big organization, over $100 billion value. You guys have a high security. You're regulated. You have a lot. This is a lot of stock data. A lot of proprietary data. You are very focused on security. How do you see AI factories, all these tokens, impacting the data? Because you're running the mortgage data business tech side. You're in the middle of the data, and you got polymarket investment with NYSE, which I thought was phenomenal. As you look at the security posture, how do you think about that piece, although you have a mandate, while not foreclosing the innovation opportunity?
So ICE is supported by a great infrastructure team. Like if you talk to any of our infrastructure engineers, whether it is data center, platform engineering, network engineering, we live and breathe security. Basically, everyone talks about that because we have been groomed like that, in the regulated industry and paying attention to security, as well as our InfoSec organizations led by a great CISO. We have architects in the cybersec side. We have red team, and we have everything covered to make sure that we evaluate all the traffic that is going in and out, as well as where do we store the data, do we have enough controls to make sure that data leakage doesn't happen. We have privacy controls, data loss prevention, so on and so forth. And we pay real attention to details on each of the thing, when we deploy anything. We have all the controls, all the detection mechanism for all the traffic flows, whether it is agentic layer that we are building or our proprietary models, model hosting infrastructure, or if we are using LLM APIs, either way we track all the traffic back and forth which is flowing. We have all the controls that is needed, like I said, detection and prevention and so on and so forth.
As a practitioner on your peers, we interview them a lot on theCUBE. We expect to have more coming in on this series. We're an end user focus from a vendor perspective. The JP Morgan Chase, the banks, all the insurance, all these verticals. It's a vertical dream scenario of these apps because whether it's a plug-in or a model, proprietary data is going to get unlocked as it continues to play. What are some of your peers thinking? If you had to kind of high level, kind of globalize it, without naming names, what is the current sentiment and mindset of practitioners today that are similar AI leaders like you?
Right. One of the things which is a little bit of a hype, and like I have been noticing the market that all the established technology stack will be impacted. In my opinion, that's just an overstatement. It takes years to build the platform that runs NYSE or our data.
So you're not going to vibe code over the weekend and roll out some agents to do the stock market.
Correct.
Obviously.
Or our data, like you said, back testing years and years of algorithms, which have been hardened, and people are using to make investment decisions kind of thing. So that's not going to happen. But where can we add value? So workflows, if there are established workflows and automation can be established. Some of the front ends, makes more interactive, So one of the things, if you think about it, all the BI-like tools or front-end dashboard, everything is becoming interactive, rather than building static dashboard. And this is an evolution I have seen in the last few years, 2-3 years, not a long time back. And the stack has evolved from general AI implementation of natural language query to agentic AI implementation to improve the accuracy of it. So you don't have to code for implementing these things. You can ask natural language question to get the data. So these are some simple example of how AI is enhancing software stacks. So transactional systems of records, those will not be impacted, and just to give an example, I was talking to one of my friends who joined from AWS to another company which runs task management platform. I'm not going to name the company, but when we were talking about it, he said that people underestimate how much work it is, to have a company like which is managing CRM platform, task management, and all those things. What it takes to build all these workflows. So those are complex. So obviously AI can enhance that thing. But it will be hard to replace all.
So what is your opinion of the narrative in Wall Street? Obviously SaaS bloodbath last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And the narrative, obviously the young starts, I call them the bomb throwers, right? They're going to throw Molotov cocktail at everybody. Yeah. You know, we're going to just rewrite Salesforce with agents. Yeah. Like, okay, sure. It's not a 3D printer. Yeah. So, I mean, Salesforce and these kind of like ServiceNow, they have established moats.
Yeah.
How are those moats changing in your opinion? And do you buy that every single SaaS company is at risk? I mean, I interviewed OpenTable right here at the NYSE, and I'm like, they've been around 20 plus years. Yeah. They got every venue on the planet covered. Yeah. They got demand curve with the users. I mean, to replicate that would be incredible. Yeah. Now, there's a data moat. So how do you think the SaaS market, again, it's mobile, cloud, now we're in the agent era. What's the moat? What's the architecture? What do you think people should be thinking about?
I mean, I can give you an example. OpenClaw became a phenomenon in the recent
overnight.
Yeah, overnight, right? And if you talk, I was watching the interview over the weekend, the 3-hour long, interview that dropped on YouTube, and in one of the sections he mentioned that whoever is claiming that coding can be fully automated, nobody has done that. Basically it runs one time kind of thing. You still have to pay attention to all the details, all the testing, all the evaluation, all the hardening stuff. Even he who built this thing, he claims that, and he vibe codes, he builds all these things himself. So I mean, this is
he had no constraints really in the demos.
Right.
I mean, he didn't really. I mean, you can make it. It showed.
Yeah.
I call it the DeepSeek moment for agents, because what DeepSeek did said, hey, you don't need to have the big honking NVIDIA systems when you can just use architectural and software. Yeah. So in a way, that was a similar agent. We're like, okay, it's going crazy. Moltbook. Oh yeah, agents friending each other. Yeah. It just goes to show you the power. Yeah, it was off the rails and had, it was like a meme more than anything.
But I mean, to give him credit, he was able to build something which
it was a good demo. I mean, it shows the power.
It has a lot of power too. But he, as being a sophisticated engineer, he also thinks that in coding itself, where significant progress has been made in the last 1 year, that also cannot be fully automated with AI. So we are still far away from the perfection, using AI, but we are using AI to our advantage. Same goes for other companies, right?
So you're pragmatic. You're taking a practical approach.
Practical approach, right? So basically, for example, data quality improvement, right? So things which should take for us to long time to analyze, right? What kind of patterns are there? Makes it easier. Now you can use that knowledge to augment your data pipelines, right? Or data quality improvement. For example, let's say address match, names matching, and things like that. These were difficult, or you have to code around.
So is Claude and Anthropic like the Mac PC debate? Remember those commercials? The Mac was cooler, and the nerd was the Apple, Bill Gates. I mean, you got an OpenAI on one side, and you got Anthropic. I mean, Anthropic's all about what you just said. Use the domain knowledge, and make the workflows go better. But OpenAI is like, do it, go crazy, be cool.
I mean, just to give them credit, I know Anthropic from the inception days. We met some of the founding team members in the various very initial days. They had their first principle set, right? We are not going to do certain things, we are going to do certain things kind of thing. So which I like. And they focused on model, they focused on, Cloud Code and Cloud Desktop, now Cloud Cowork. But if you think about it, if you have an agent running on your MacBook right now, how do you take that and deploy at scale without duplicating the
deploying at scale,
right? Because otherwise everyone would be building their own version of the same thing, and it just mushrooms.
It's like they send everyone back to kindergarten. Go meet the other agents, hang out, and like playing with blocks. There's not a lot of learnings there. So there's a lot of kind of like, I use kindergarten as an example because that's the first day of school for a human.
So and then I'll tell you another thing that which resonated with me. One of our best engineers, he told, I can write a prompt, write this script, and then I can run the script 5 times. That way I'm not burning the token. Or I can keep writing the prompt, which would create the script, and I would burn the token in 5 minutes, for my quota. But to understand that, you need decades of experience that, I can write a Python script and I can run the Python script or bash or awk or any of the thing. It takes time, so it's like a sharp knife, right now. You need to understand.
You could use it well, but
yeah.
Be careful.
Be careful. Yeah, be careful in the sense that how do you use it in a regulated environment? Yeah. How do you make shareable component? How are you careful?
Do you think architecturally, and this is more of a personal opinion, you can share the ICE perspective if you want. I'm just riffing on this with Dave Vellante and on the last CUBE pod. Architecturally, it seems it might be easy just to decouple the interface piece, lock that down, create a hard top or hard side, whatever you want to call it, stack, and saying, okay, my mode and my competitive advantage is system of record up and through workflows. So if I have experience, I have years and years of a domain, I have a trajectory, I have economies of scale. To try to replicate that, someone else would take on massive diseconomies of scale on the back end. So I would much rather say, hey, I'll revert to some sort of nice, clean DMZ front end, to kind of keep everyone happy.
Correct. I mean, that's the approach we also took, and if you think about it, there are deterministic flows, and you know that we shouldn't have any kind of variation in this flow, and there will be some places where you can introduce human in the loop and some sort of variation can be there using AI, right? So those are the flows which we are improving, and front end obviously is one of the.
Is that a good strategy?
Yeah, and then you can build data pipeline to enhance where you have basically determinism as well as AI model based, agentic AI based flows, and then wherever there is need, you need to have human in the loop to validate that thing. So optimally selecting those kind of architecture and reviewing the flow. The other thing that we need to think about is how much maintenance is needed for all these things, because once you build it, right, it's not the end of the story.
You got to run it.
Yeah, you got to run it, you need to make changes, you need to enhance it, so you still need support for that. Having said that, I mean, it has given us a lot of power.
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, I love this market. Don't get me wrong, but it's still embryonic. I was talking again on the pod with other guests here at the NYSE and the CUBE studios here about the parallels between cloud native. You go back to the early days of the clouderati. We were in 2008, 7 time frame. Small group in San Francisco, group here in New York, mostly San Francisco and Seattle. Amazon was viewed as a junkyard. You know, you could cobble together some pieces of this and make a car. It wasn't like the EMC drives. And so, but cloud native got the developers in because the alternative was great. So you had that cloud native first generation war of the startups. The young guns, Airbnb sleeping on the floor at their friend's house, start a company, Dropbox, all these things are happening. Okay, what happened next was the adoption came from the enterprise. And the security was the number one, I remember this in 2014, was the number one reason no one went to the cloud in 2013. Security. What did Amazon do? They fixed security. They win the CIA against IBM. They start knocking down the banks. So security was the key linchpin. Today's market, AI native. All the young guns and the coding away, throwing stuff against the wall. Look what I built. There's emerging native companies coming out that have never touched cloud native. They don't even know what DevOps is. So the DevOps movement is kind of similar. Do you agree? Are you seeing parallels between the two?
Yeah, very similar. Like you said, even now companies got started on top of OpenAI API. That's how many of the companies started, and now Anthropic stack or Google Gemini stack or any of the thing like Azure. But security always will be a major challenge, as well as, people need to pay attention to it. And when you are ramping up, when you are starting a company, obviously you have to build features and, you have to roll out. So attention to details are not there. And once they crack the first enterprise deal, that's where the real
they got to get the learnings.
Correct.
I mean, I think to me it's clear that once the security is enterprise ready, they're getting all the startups now. Look at the momentum. It's all basically startups, vibe coding, individuals now democratized. Let me ask you a question about existing organizations. Cloud native certainly transform IT, information technology divisions, rack and stack, data centers. Is there a personnel transition mindset from the new IT or cloud IT, cloud operations. I mean, you're running a knock, you got red team, blue team, all kinds of action going on. You're basically running IT operations in the modern era at ICE.
Yeah.
Like, what's that look like from a people change management standpoint? The Center of Excellence is under your purview. So what's your view on this?
Yeah, so what we are doing is, education is one of the main thing there. You know, if you are ahead in understanding some stack, how do you make sure that other people understand? You know, that's one of the thing I focus on, and make sure that people understand that, look, this is how it works. Let's poke holes in this and let's fix it. You know, what do we need? Do we need tools? Do we need controls? Do we deny? You know, so those kind of discussions we have. The mindset is changing because everyone is trying to understand or implementing their own version of AI, which is a great thing. So I mean, one of the things, our idea was to empower all the employees with some AI tools, you know, which we are doing, so that people can understand how it works, what are the risks associated with it, should I upload the file, should I not do it, kind of thing. So all those things are there, and every operator, you know, is understanding, they are trying to enhance their stack themselves. So a lot of progress has been made in the last 1 year, you know.
So Jeff Sprecher is an innovator.
Yeah.
What's his view? You should maybe rephrase.
Yeah.
You don't want to speak for him.
Yeah.
I hope to interview him. I'll ask him. But what I like about ICE and the NYSE is it reminds me, it's like a whole new company.
Yeah.
NYSE. Since I've been here, it's not what I expected. It's not my grandfather's NYSE. Okay, so it's kind of a new NYSE. I think that's why NASDAQ's nervous about all these IPOs coming here. But the innovation, it's massive. Can you share the scope without giving away any secrets to some of the operational things you guys do technically? Because I know from some conversations, I've pieced it together, you guys are running a pretty large operation. Can you scope that order of magnitude for us?
You want to know the footprint? I mean, look, just to...
Without giving any away secrets.
Look, in order to just power this New York Stock Exchange, right, where trillions of messages are flowing, think about the data center capacity we need, you know, as well as servers, the network, and everything, so on and so forth. So, and we are constantly trying to innovate and challenge ourselves to go to the next level, you know. So, I mean, we are just not sitting quiet that what is the next challenge that's going to come kind of...
poly-market investment?
Yeah.
That's a signal to me. The crypto, leaning into crypto, that's decentralized.
I remember when you and I were having the conversation in the initial days, right? I was telling that this is how we are going to approach AI, and you were like, and that's what the industry started.
Did I roll my eyes? So no, you were very upfront. You were upfront. You said we have constraints. You guys have constraints. You're on-prem.
I mean,
you have proprietary data.
So what we do is that innovate with the guardrails we have, right? I mean, innovate. Have the ability to innovate, understand the guardrails that we need to implement. But that's what I like, that we are able to innovate in spite of all the guardrails we have and regulations we have, because we understand where we can stretch, you know, where we need to limit ourselves, kind of thing. And the scope of innovation, if you think about it, everywhere, all the stacks, you know, we are constantly evaluating whether we need to improve. And the culture that Jeff has built, you know, that's what I like. It's a relentless pursuit to go to the next level.
I remember when I first met you, it was a breakfast, like, oh, we do this thing, Wired, we create a digital twin of the interviews. And one of the things I mentioned to you, and we kind of, not laugh, but kind of said was, you were doing so many meetings with startups, with Brian. I'm like, well, you can't have lunches with 500 companies in the next year. I think we're now here at the CUBE Wired, NYSE Wired community, over 650 companies, interviews. So we're starting to hit the scale. So I hope you're watching all the videos. We got an AI tool you can just ingest in.
We need an AI clone.
Agent.
We need a clone of yourself.
Go to thecubeai.com. You'll see the agent of theCUBE. Every transcript's in there. But this is a great example of, like, you know, your workflow was you do the work. I give you a compliment on that at the beginning of the interview. This is scale for you. If you had an agent rolling up the TLDRs, you know, hey Cube, hey agent, tell me, what did I miss? It's my filter. I'm looking for a company that's going to be doing security ops, AI agents with tight security parameters and constraints.
these are the companies.
Physical AI, here's a video here. I mean, that's where this goes.
Yeah, yeah, true. I mean, that's where your interface comes into the picture. You have the data now built with your all the interviews that you have done, and then you can put an interface there with AI agents and ask questions, summarize it,
Well, technology is the mark. I look at the options board here. It's NVIDIA, Tesla, a few randos on there based on what's going on with earnings, but for the most part, technology is the market. There's a huge thirst for technology change. End users are coming in. This is our Practitioner Series. Thank you for kicking off the program. We're going to do a deep dive. We're having an ongoing AI technology, emerging technology Practitioner Series, where we feature practitioners, people out doing the work, getting it done, exploring the future, staying within the guardrails and constraints of their business or operation, pushing the envelope, managing their risk without foreclosing the future. And that's the goal of this series. I'm John Furrier, your host of the NYSE CUBE Wired community. Thanks for watching.